Today is Monday, September 30th, and today's agricultural fact of the day. The average amount of money spent on food for one person per year was $2,626 in 2018. This has increased by $756 in 2022 for an average of $3,382. A family of four would be spending roughly $13,528 on average. And this data was found on the website ourworldanddata.org, but they pulled the information from data that was collected by the Economic Research Service, part of the government. Now, one important point that I made to my high school students was that this does not include tobacco or alcohol. Obviously, they're too young for that to affect their lives individually yet because they are obviously under the age of 18 and 21. But as you grow older, it is critical to understand how that can affect your financial situation. And as I told them, it's probably not a good thing to say to your parents, if your parents are complaining about having money for food, to say, hey, maybe if you cut back on your cigarettes you smoke or the amount of alcohol you drink. I said, don't say that because you'd probably get very heavily reprimanded and grounded for that. But those two things are very addictive and they're very expensive and they are heavily taxed. So when it comes to the amount of money spent at a grocery store or a gas station, wherever it is that they're getting it from, it can be pricey. So again, I'm not sure how accurate these numbers actually are because they came from the Economic Research Service. I would think that they are pretty accurate. When I first saw this fact, I thought they were talking about a household, and I said, as a household, I spend way more than $3,382 on groceries. But then as I read further, it said estimated per person. Now, obviously, if you have younger kids, they may not eat as much, or if they're super picky eaters, they may eat more than that. This also does not take into calculation if you're eating out regularly or ordering food out. Obviously, there's drastic price differences in this economy in this day and age when it comes to that, but it does not take that into account. One thing I did emphasize to my students is that even if you're in town, where you are located in the state has a relatively low housing cost. The cost of living is very low out in Western New York just due to where we are located. We're also in the middle of nowhere. But the point that I made to them was if you wanted to source your meat locally, it's significantly easier for you to do that. You either grow it yourself, or if you live in town and you can't, chances are there is a farmer or producer nearby that you could buy it from. And if you buy in bulk, like a half of a steer or a half of a pig, yes, it's a lot of money up front, but if you were to buy the comparable cuts in the grocery store, it would far exceed the amount that you end up paying for that half of animal. So I was sure to mention that as well, because we're in a rural community. There are farms all over the place here, and I feel like some people just don't feel comfortable enough with stepping outside of their comfort zone and sourcing meat locally, which more often than not is better quality, and it will last. It will take you farther than if you buy it piecemeal at the grocery store.